Hey all, welcome back to Sim Race's Journey. In this video, Project Cars 2 In-Depth Review Part 2, we're going to take a look at the following. The graphics, how good are they or not good? Pit stops, how do they do the pit stop function in this? Is it real? Is it glitchy? Whatever. And we're also going to look at the intangibles, gameplay, and the bits that don't deserve their own spot, their own section, if you will, but are still part of the game. Things like car selection, career mode, and more. In part 1, which is linked down below, we covered weather, including snow, which you don't see in a sim very often, and AI. At the end of this video, we'll summarize our thoughts on Project Cars 2. We've got a bunch of links below related to Project Cars 2, as well as links to all our video equipment and our sim racing gear. And if it's a link down there, especially if it's hardware or software or something like that, it's something we believe in. We wouldn't do it any other way. We've told you that before, and we'll tell you that every time, but that's just the way we operate here. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you've got Project Cars 2, what you think of it. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you're enjoying these videos and getting something out of them, and we really hope you are, please like and subscribe down below. And now, let's wrap up our Project Cars 2 in-depth review. So now we're going to take a look at graphics. We're going to take some time at Laguna Seca. Just drive around. We'll take some time in an in-race part so you can see what the other cars look like when you're on track. And we'll just sort of try and pick up some of the nuances there and talk about that. Then we will also do a section. This is the drive around the track all by yourself at 35 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. But that gives us a chance to see the scenery, the signage, the things along the way, little details like chain link fence, things like that. One thing you won't see there that I know we talked about in the Forza 7 versus ACC videos was the spectators that are trackside. Because when you have the just a single car on the track, it's a test session, and therefore there are no spectators. Makes sense. But when we're on track during the race, maybe we'll talk a little bit about spectators then. And as usual, I apologize for my horrible driving. I am utterly unable to talk and race at the same time. It just is ugly. So anyhow, without further ado, let's get on with this. So here we are, we're on track at Laguna. The scenery looks pretty good. I mean, there's some people there. People in the stands. Cars look good. One thing that they don't do in this, or ACC for that matter, there's no side mirrors, which I find useful. You've got a good big rear view shot, and then you have just like a regular rear view mirror view, but it doesn't give you much about what's around you. And like I said, when you combine that with a rather mediocre proximity sensor, it can be a little bit problematic. Trees look good. I mean, alongside the track looks good. The sort of sandiness. The sky looks pretty much like a California sky. It's not quite as blue as California skies. Fans in the hillside look good. Some of the, oops, I told you I can't talk and drive. Some of the vehicles parked alongside the track don't look particularly good, I don't think. They look a little bit like toys that have been set there. That's not too bad, I guess. Like I said, the stands look good. Flags are waving as opposed to just stationary. It does not look like cardboard cutouts in the stand like ACC did. This is really, really good.
Your brakes.
I may have mentioned this before, but I like the communications you get from your pit crew, and you can set a level of realism on that to correspond to the era. So if you're driving say a Le Mans, a 67 and a GT Mark IV, 4 GT, you're not going to get that level of detail from your pit crew based on telemetry because it didn't exist. But here you get that, and that's pretty cool. Like I say, the fence looks good, the other cars look good. Oh boy. And that's what an accident looks like. And my car is well and truly screwed up. So that's that. Rather unspectacular end. We'll just catch the replay so you can watch that too. It's part of the graphics. Oopsie. And here comes the accident. And parts are coming off the car, and we're done. And I think that's kind of cool. And that debris will be there the next time you come around the track. So the graphics are pretty cool that way. I give them pretty high marks for their graphics. So this will be our track tour. We've run to the track all for ourselves today. You'll notice the stands will be empty of cars. Safety crews are here. They do a good job of just sort of setting the environment that well or better for immersiveness than I've seen any of the other sims do. So we want to hit about 35 miles an hour. That's, I think, what we did them at last time. The buildings look good. The chain link fences. It's hard to see the detail on the chain link, which is probably accurate. It's cool. The flags are waving in the wind. I like that. Those vehicles don't look too bad over there. And there's the hill that shows up with the ATV tracks in it. Again, not bad. Cars look hokey as could be, though, that are sitting in the hillside. They look like they're going to fall off the hillside. Trees, not too bad. Empty stands, as I said they'd be. Tough day. Like I say, the signage looks good. So the ATL sign back there for ATL fuel cells. Pretty sure we had an ATL fuel cell in our B production GT350 we ran. I mean, that looks good. You get, again, a little bit like ACC. The closer you get to the trees, the better they look. And I get it. This is, after all, a 4.5-year-old game. They weren't. I mean, the Xbox Series X wasn't even a dream at that point in time. So, you know, this is written to take advantage of Xbox One technology, which I think it does a pretty good job of. Alongside the track, the sandy dirt looks good, and we're coming up in the corkscrew. Looks good. Porta potties and a random semi truck up there, trailer up there. Graphics, like I say, are all pretty good, except for the vehicles along the way. They just look like they're set in haphazardly, and they just don't quite fit the environment, I don't think. So all things considered, I'd give it pretty high marks. I'm not. So now we're going to explore one of the things that's a little bit different on Project Cars 2. It has some open world environments, not to the extent of something like Forza Horizon 5, and not at all like that. It still uses the same sort of physics and dynamics and everything of Project Cars 2. But we're here on the California Highway 5. And I thought we'd take out a Ford GT for today. When our son lived out by Monterey for a while, he was out there for about a year and a half in the Army at the Language Institute. We drove around a little bit, mostly Highway 1, but beautiful country. And they do a pretty good job of simulating that here. And they have also a European area of open road driving, and this is meant to be competitive, but we're just taking a sightseeing trip today, and I think we'll just chuck this into the graphics section. That's pretty cool. I mean, unfortunately you can't stop in there and, you know, have a bite to eat or something like that, or maybe a burger and a beer, but nicely done. Coming down the hills here, getting near the ocean. As someone who has vertigo, this is pretty good. They give you a pretty good effect of being up high with the world just falling off next to you. Oh God, there we go, okay. So, that's the, oh, my laptop is invalidated, sorry. This is California Highway 5, pretty cool feature. Sort of takes a step outside of the sim realm with something like this, very definitely, but still cool. So now we're going to take a look at Pitstops in Project Cars 2. We looked at both ACC and Forza 7 in the video comparison we did of those two, and the clear winner to me of that one was ACC. We'll see what it's like here. To be honest, I haven't done a pit stop yet. As far as going through the whole strategy part of it and everything like that, I have pulled in, changed tires, and gotten fuel. It's very straightforward and easy, and you'll see it. I mean, it's they handle a lot of the details for you, but you'll see that coming up. But you get to set up your pit strategy, or you can go with the default. But if you set up your pit strategy, I created one called Pit, very clever. That's active. And to edit it, we'll hit the X button. And so you can mess with your tire setup, and you can add fuel at a certain point. You can change tires. If you do, you can match all tire compounds. In other words, do you want hard slicks in all four corners? Do you want soft slicks in all four corners? Do you want rain tires in all four corners? I suppose there might be a situation where you maybe want hards on the front and softs on the back. I don't know, but you have that option, and you can actually do it from left to right, front to back. So you got a lot of flexibility there. You can adjust the front tire pressure and the rear tire pressure. One thing to keep in mind, let's go down to that here real quick. This is done in bars, I believe, which is a measure of the atmospheric pressure. You know, like this would be 1.49 times the atmospheric pressure, which, oh gosh, about 15 psi. I might be wrong on that. But anyhow, and if you look up in the upper left corner of the screen, or upper right corner of the screen, excuse me, you'll see that the tire pressure is done in psi. So you need to do some calculating between the two to make sure that you're doing what you intend to do. Just something to keep an eye on. So that's that part of it, the fuel and tire damage repair. If you have the damage turned on and you come in to, and you have some damage, you have to come in and fix it. You can, decide what it is that you do or do not want to be fixed. And the default setting here is the front and the rear brakes will not be fixed. Everything else is fixable. Save pit strategy and reset pit strategy to defaults. So it's fairly comprehensive. It's not as comprehensive as ACC. It's also a little bit more clear. ACC is a little bit cumbersome, I think. So we're not really going to save the changes. And now, the other thing, that's what I meant to tell you. ACC, you have a pit window that is open from X to Y time. Only that period of time. This does not have that. This is anytime during the race. If you have a mandatory pit stop, you have to make a pit stop. So I could go out and run 1 lap and come in. I could go out and run 19 laps of a 20-lap race and bring it in and meet the goal. So that's a difference. And I think it's a concession to ease of use a little bit. Okay, we're going to go into the pits. I mean, we've only got 1 lap on here, but I wanted, instead of hoping for some damage, didn't happen. And it's a hands-off, much like Forza. It automatically brings you down to the pit limited speed, everything like that. And you can see our pit here, again, hands off. We'll come in. Fuel going in, you can see that on the left. Oh, and a rare achievement, a strategic mind, evidently. Having some repairs done, you can see that in the little information box up there under repair. And pit stop time, we're done. We're out. We just ran over a pit crewman. Again, hands off. You have to be careful though. You have to be ready because when you get out of here, you're back in business. And I got a warning for unsafe pit exit, but that's a pit stop in Project Cars. Pretty cool. I mean, I'm not sure I like the hands off in the actual pit lane. But it gives a sense of realism that's pretty cool. And so pit stops in Project Cars 2. This has a career mode. ACC has a career mode. Forza 7 has just this system of races that span different eras to work through. And these are some of the fun things. They're maybe not sim related. Forza 7 in particular, I think, is less sim related and more just sort of a fun aspect. Here, it's actually a career path that you have. So after you enter the basics for the career mode or the career path, this is the actual career path that you go into. And after this, we'll go into where you wind up after this, so you can sort of get a visual of what it's about, how they track your career, and things like that. But basically, at the beginning, you have to pick a career path. You can go with Formula C, Formula Rookie, Kart 1, Ginetta Juniors Challenge, or you can bump them all up 1 level, 2 levels, or 3 levels. After that, you can't get to those to level 2 or level 1 without completing some of the levels prior to that. It's going to make your work for them, in other words. And you can move between career paths. This is the one that I took here. I started with the Ginetta GT5 because it then leads to GT4 or the Cayman Cup, which leads to either the Lamborghini Super Trofeo or the Run Sport Revival, and then the GT3 and World Challenge from there. So it's pretty cool. Basically what it boils down to is open wheel racing, prototype racing, GT racing. Again, that has the branch in it there of GT4 or Cayman Cup. And then down here, which is touring car racing, and here, which is the rallycross racing. So that's pretty cool. And we'll get into a little bit more of that in the next little segment here. I'm in the Ginetta GT5 Championship, coming up on round 2. I did learn something about tuning the Ginetta GT5 though, because I kept locking up the front wheels, much to my chagrin. So I did learn something about setups there. And you get emails from your team. So I have new email messages. What are they? Let's see. Oh, there's a race seat available in the Ginetta event. So I can go to the Ginetta Proving Ground as a guest of Ginetta, and they'd be honored to see me behind the wheel. Honored to see me behind the wheel for racing for us at the event. I will say I went to one event in this already, and they drop you on the test track in your car. It's not a track you've probably ever been to because it's the Ginetta Proving Ground, and there's no chance to practice, to see what the track looks like or anything like that. You're literally just dropped into a race event. So that if all these work like that, they need some little bit of work to smooth that out. But it's just very cool. I mean, you pick a team. You know, back here I got welcomed to the team. The team manager talked about getting started. Qualifying results, not the best performance I've seen from you. Oh, okay, that's legit. But it's just kind of a cool feature. You can have multiple drivers going. You can manage your drivers because, well, I should have 2 drivers. Evidently, I didn't save my second driver. So you can just try different career paths that way at the same time. But that's kind of fun. I think it's different than online racing or just straight up racing in that you're trying to develop a career path, and you have the opportunity to move around from team to team, and pretty cool. So now I just want to spend a real brief time on the setup features it's got. Significantly more advanced than something like Forza 7 had. Sneaking up on what ACC has, and with one exception to that, and that is the ACC community has developed a vast array of really well done setups. Or there's Coach Dave's Academy that has setups, wet, dry, and practice, or quali rather, for all the cars in ACC for a price, but it's a reasonable price. And it's just there's a large community of people making setups. I poked around trying to find some setups for the Aston Martin GT3, the one I usually drive, and haven't been able to find one. And I just don't. Their setup system is something I haven't delved into, so I really don't understand it very well. But it is there, and so just take a real quick look at it. You've got tires, brakes, and chassis, similar to ACC. Suspension, very similar as well. Dampers, everything there. ECU, engine, and gearing. Gearing is something ACC does not have because GT3 cars are not allowed to change the gear ratios, is my understanding. You pick an overall ratio for the season, and that's it. And this is also where you adjust your traction control and your ABS strength, and differential. So there's a lot there. The other thing it has is a race engineer, which it will just step through, say like here on braking. What's your problem? I'm not stopping in time. So you go there, hit that, and the race engineer will suggest that you increase the brake pressure from 95 to 96% and move the brake bias, please. Which is kind of vague because I'd like to know which way we move the brake bias, but you know, so be it. And if you click on that, it will actually do that. You know, when you go back to your setup, you'll notice that your brake pressure has been changed. Here, I keep sliding when I'm braking. Oh, is it the front or the rear? It's the front. The lock can easily decrease the brake pressure from 96 to 95. Or move the brake bias rearwards from 55/45 to 54/46. So that gives you a little bit better idea there of what you're actually doing, so that you can start to develop your own tunes a little bit. But that's kind of a cool feature that Project Cars has, is the race engineer. The setup, you know, it's there. I haven't, to be very honest, I haven't looked into it very far to find out how well it works. Like I say, I messed with it a little bit with the Aston Martin GT3 car, and I obviously don't have the knack of it yet, but it's just one of the things that Project. So we're going to look at a really peculiar thing that you can get yourself trapped in at the start. I just call it the Hinky start, just because I don't know. But basically, what happens when you have a rolling start and you're just coming up in the starting line before the green light, and if you're going around the corner, you have no control. I mean, you can turn the wheel all you want or leave it dead still, and the AI built into the Project Cars 2 will drive you around the corner. The problem comes if your wheel's in the wrong spot when you are going around the corner, because you don't really know where it's supposed to be, and the green light comes on, you're in a mess. So here we are. So I exaggerated by not putting my hands on the wheel at all, but you can see where the problem would be. So let's run that through again one time and show you the way I've sort of found to get around that. You have to sort of fake where you think the wheel will be. And that doesn't always work either. So it's something to be aware of. I think it's a flaw in this sim. So now we'll try it one more time and see if I can guess the right place to be when we get the green light. We'll see. Okay, we're going to fake it here with the wheel. You also have to watch your throttle too, because if you're in the middle of a turn when it goes, well, that was better, but still, I don't know. I think it's sort of a problem. I just thought you all should be aware of that, and just put it in the back of your mind to be aware of it, and that's that. The Hinky start. So now we're going to talk about field of view. In the first part one of the Project Cars in-depth review, I was commenting on they didn't have any side mirrors, and that bugged me. And then upon a little bit more checking around, I realized that there is a way to get side mirrors, and it's through adjusting the field of view. And we owned it in part one. We put some call outs in there, you know, and a visual showing it. So yes, there is in fact. But I just want to give you a little bit more of an A/B comparison here, and also how to set it up. Okay, real quick, we're just going to go through how to set it up. Depending on which view you use, bumper, bonnet, roof, chase, on down that list, that's where you want to adjust it. So I use the helmet camera, and 70 is the default. So we'll look at it on 70, and then we'll also take a look at it on 100, and I mean, just crank it up to 100 and you're good to go. But first we're going to look at it on 70. Okay, so now that we've covered how you set it up, let's go through sort of an on track. This is the old one, and you'll notice that the mirror, the side view mirrors, you can't see anything in them. So they're one click from you. So I mean, that view is pretty good, but so now we'll switch over to the other view. Okay, so I saw it on 70. Now we'll take a look at it on 100 real quick, just to give you an idea how big a difference it makes. A side view mirror, all the difference in the world. And again, this weird start. Anyhow, the side view mirror has a pretty good view in it. I mean, you can see in it pretty well. And that is field of view, which I think is a really cool feature. Field of view is usually not an option in console titles. A lot of games, ACC for example, has field of view on the PC, but not on the console. And we have the AI set down to like tepid. So, field of view. So this is, I just wanted to point out sort of a graphical quirk in this. The driver, your avatar, the AI avatars no, but your avatar looks almost like they're having a seizure at certain points. And it's just really weird. I mean, and we'll put call outs on it so you can see it better. I am the Mustang center screen right there. So that's it. That's the visual graphical quirk. Has nothing to do with gameplay. Just a quick tour through the main screens. Here you can pick career, and under career you have continue career, new driver if you wanted to have 2 or 3 different careers going at the same time, manage drivers, so you know, if you've got 3 careers going, you can pick which one you want to load, or perhaps if it's not going so well, you can delete one. Quick play, custom races, and you have a lot of flexibility in the custom races. Private testing, create an online event, so you can create your own, and browse races that are available around the world right now. I've not done online in this, so I don't know what the quality of the races are like. I do know that they have certain driver achievement requirements or skill requirements, and I haven't gotten far enough into the game to give you any kind of good ideas to how well those work or don't work. Then under the custom race, vehicle select, track select, like I said, a lot of tracks. Just lots. You can just a lot of European tracks in particular. There's some rally tracks, several American tracks. Daytona down here. We've got I think it's Texas Motor Speedway for the oval for stock cars. So a great track selection. You have got a lot of cars, and so you could have multi-class races, same class races, identical races. So if you wanted to race all GT4 Mustangs, that's a possibility. Race settings, the length of the race, session start time, the different seasons of the year, summer, autumn, winter, snow, which merits its own season, and spring. So there's now 5 seasons. Weather slots, which I think we touched on. Weather progression, start type, rolling or standing. Formation lap, yes or no. Mandatory pit stops, which we have also touched on. And you can set practice sessions and qualifying sessions as well. But that is the custom race features. They're pretty extensive. I like them. So, cars. Everybody loves having a big car selection. And this has it. I forget the exact number, but like this is all the cars grouped by manufacturer. So we go through Acura's, J.C. Agajanian, IndyCar racer from the early 60s. Historic cars, current GTs, street cars, 90s IMSA cars, the R18 e-tron from 2014. There's just a lot of them. Oodles and oodles of Ferraris. Good selection of Fords, which makes me happy. Including, I've not seen this in another game, the Mark IV. The Mark II usually shows, but not the Mark IV. And the Mark IV is truly the only completely American designed, built, and powered car to win the Le Mans. Formula cars. So anyhow, a great car selection. I forget how many total cars there are. A lot of historic Lotuses in here. From the 25, the 78, and the 72. The 72 is one of my favorites. Yeah, it's just great selection. A lot of Porsches, not surprisingly. Another one of my favorites lurks in here, I think. Oh, I didn't see it there. But anyhow, I think it's got a great car selection. I think they've done a reasonably good job of modeling them. But it's hard to know. When you aim this wide, how do you gather that much good, reliable, solid data to do something like this, especially when you're getting back into the historical cars? How much of it is based on historical data and how much is based on just kind of a guess and a hope? But anyhow, great car selection. Community events, time trials, esports events using specific cars and tracks, time trials. I mean, a pretty good selection of stuff there. Your profile, options. There are some cool options in here. When you get down here in particular, you have some control over the field of view, which I really want to have more control over my field of view and other sims. And in console titles, that generally isn't an option. Wheels are good. One thing in a wheel I've learned the hard way. Not really the hard way, but it took me a while to get it. Steering dead zone. I fired up the game. I went online. I found a Thrustmaster TMX wheel configuration file, punched in all the data, and the steering zone was set to 0, which I didn't. The dead zone, I just didn't think of that. It was okay. That's what this guy says works. The car is undrivable with no dead zone in the middle. The wheel was just all over the place. You couldn't hold on to it. The car is just literally undrivable. So I kicked it up to 2 and cured that problem. Just something to bear in mind if you run into a problem where the wheel just doesn't want to work. Check your steering dead zone under controls and configuration. So that's Project Cars 2. All in all, I think it's a good, solid game, especially for it being a 2017 vintage title. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, a lot of variety, a lot of ability to configure the game your way. All things considered, it is. I would put it definitely above Forza 7 as far as reality, and definitely below ACC in that aspect. A lot of the other aspects, it's not a side-by-side comparison, so I don't want to get into that. But as the realism, after driving ACC, after driving this, I'm reminded just how real ACC feels. That's it for this video. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please like and subscribe down below. We'll have a lot of links down there. The Project Cars website gives a great load of information on all the options and the career mode and the cars, the tracks, and just a lot of stuff like that. So it's a really well done website. Another interesting fact, the company that created this originally, whose name escapes me right now, was acquired by Codemasters, the people that make the Formula One series. Codemasters was acquired by Electronic Arts. Therefore, the studio that designed Project Cars now probably has a lot more assets at their disposal to create new titles, which is cool. And they also might not have quite the creative freedom they used to have, but just a little something to tuck away in the back of your mind as things move forward with this title. So we also have all the links for our sim racing gear, our streaming gear, and everything like that. And if we have a link down there, it's something we believe in. We're not going to just feed you stuff. We make no money on it at all at this point. It's just there for your information. So that's it for this video, and we'll see you next time on Sim Racer's Journey.